Daughter of Ferrix is the penultimate episode of Andor Season 1, and upon rewatching this, I realized this is not really part of an arc or anything. This is more so like Episode 7, where it's an in-between episode, dealing with what happened with the previous arc, in this case, One Way Out, and setting up for the finale. Before I fully get into my review, I just want to remind everyone I have reviews up for all previous episodes of Andor. They're on my channel. There's a link to the playlist in the description. If you haven't seen that, check that out. And also, while you're here, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel for more Star Wars content. So Cassian and Melshi are, of course, out of the facility, but they still need a transport off of Narkina 5.
We might! In that quad jumper!
Well, sure, Ray, but they do meet some interesting talking aliens, to say the least. Look, I get this scene is supposed to be like funny. I just feel it's kind of unnecessary, especially because, the aliens capture them and just let them go, just like that. I'm like, what was really the point here? I don't really get it. I could have done without it, to be honest. But the rest of the episode does have quite a point, and it's mainly focused around Maarva's death. Very sad, of course, and my god, it spreads like wildfire, this news. Like, everyone is just like, oh yeah, need to get that to them, to them, to them. Like, Dedra hears it through the guy from Ferrix who's there. Cinta tells Vel, who tells Kleya, who tells Luthen. So that also spreads. And actually, we get a little appearance from Sargeant Mosk, who tells Syril, like, hey, this happened, you might want to look into this. And of course, finally, Cassian also gets the news by contacting someone on Ferrix. So he has to go as well, of course. And everyone is just focusing on the funeral that they're about to have, because it's going to be a grand funeral because of the fact that Maarva was a daughter of Ferrix. Roll credits for the episode, of course. And yeah, that's a big setup for the next episode. And throughout all of this, B2 is very sentimental, very sad. He doesn't want to leave home. And I think personally, it's like adorable. Like, I've actually seen people complain about that, and the moment that I heard about that, I'm like, why do people have an issue with this? This is like annoying. I don't really get it, to be fair. I just want to, give him a hug. Like, oh, come on, it's cute. And someone else who definitely needs a hug, I think, is Bix. My god, she is looking horrendous and is still being asked questions. And the moment that she's shown this hollow image of Kreegyr, she's just like, please, I don't know who this guy is. Can I just get out of here? And that's actually the first time that we see Kreegyr. The only time we see Kreegyr, I think. And I honestly feel like, adding another rebel who is planning this heist is like, it's what it is. It's kind of a storyline that I don't much care for, that I don't really pay attention to, because I never really see a face up until now. And in this case, I just see the hollow image. It's like, eh. But Saw is planning on actually going with Kreegyr on the Spellhouse mission. And we see Saw once again. He's visited by Luthen. Once Luthen visits him, it very much just seems like Luthen is taking the piss. He's like, oh yeah, no, Tubes is with me. Yeah, tell him. It's like, okay, that's a choice, Luthen. But Luthen is definitely not there to go for Spellhouse, because he's actually warning Saw about, what might happen. Because, well, he has a mole, of course. And you know what? That mole should have told Luthen that there was a ship above the planet or something. Now, of course, maybe he couldn't know that. But the thing is, the sequence with the ship is actually very cool. And it reminded me a little bit of James Bond, where, you have these spikes coming out of the car to stop the vehicle behind you. Very reminiscent of that. But it's very cool, the sequence where we actually see how Luthen gets out of situations in the Fondor, and it goes to show he has really equipped the Fondor to the teeth to make sure that he can get out of sticky situations. Of course, he's very resourceful, very clever in that regard. So, again, just hammering down that Luthen is a character like that. Now, besides Kleya and Luthen's shop, Vel also visits Mon. And Mon's daughter seems to be getting into, becoming a Chandrilan wife. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but that's essentially what I'm gathering from this, because, well, of course, we have her being linked to the son of the other guys. So I'm curious to see if that's going to play a bigger part in the next season. I'm also curious to see essentially how disrupted the family will be with Mon Mothma, because Mon is, of course, going to focus on her rebellion. There's something that happens in the next episode. I'll get into that really with the next episode that involves the husband. And, of course, her daughter is probably going away to, be married off to the other guy. So I'm very curious how that dynamic is going to play out in the next season with Mon's family. But when Mon and Vel are talking for a little bit, Mon admits to helping Luthen with money, and quite a lot of money. So now we actually kind of know how much she's been helping him and why, she has to go through this entire scheme with the banks to make sure that, she's covered. And yeah, it's like, okay, she has been starting a rebellion and now she's just trying to get out of it. I'm like, Mon, don't even try to get out of it. Just hammer down on it. Just go with it. We need you to do that. Anyway, at the very end of the episode, Melshi and Cassian have to split up. And this also just begs the question, what is the point that they meet again? We know that they know each other from here, but Melshi is off somewhere else. And will we see him again in season 2? Or is the first time that they meet actually in Rogue One? Because we know that they meet there, but before that, this episode just sets up a lot of storylines for season 2, and I'm just very curious where that is going, but, in a good way. But in the end, I think it's a solid episode. It sets up very well for the finale, which, well, I'll review it next week. I've, of course, seen the episode already, but knowing that, I see how well it's setting up for it. So I think, it's a solid episode. It's a good one, and I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on this episode? Let me know any and all thoughts in the comments below. Click right here to subscribe to my channel, or maybe you want to click right here for another video. Be convinced of the stuff that I do in my channel. So check out my Star Wars content. Look out for next week's review, the finale, and until then, may the Force be with you.